Hello, welcome back to episode 3 of Food for Thought, which is a series linking baking and reading. I'm Judith Green. I work with Somerset Libraries. Baking and reading are both my hobbies, and I hope you enjoy watching this video. Now, this one is going to address the issue of someone's eaten the last slice of bread for toast for breakfast, and you're not going to have any bread for tea in the afternoon. So what do you do in a hurry? So I'd suggest that you have a go at making Irish soda bread, which isn't a yeasted bread, as its name suggests. It uses bicarbonated soda, or sometimes called baking soda, activated by yoghurt and the acid therein to make an alternative to yeast-risen bread. Now, for this recipe, you're going to need 225 grams of wholemeal flour. I'd suggest wholemeal because it gives a nice nutty flavour. Half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoonful of bicarbonate of soda, 25 grams of lard. I would suggest lard because it's a rustic recipe and it would have been made with low-cost ingredients. You can use butter if you prefer. And also, I'm using 2 tablespoons of porridge oats. Normally I would use oatmeal, but perhaps you're more likely to have porridge oats available. If you don't, just put in 2 tablespoons extra of flour. And then you'll be wanting about 150 ml of plain yoghurt to go in there too. So the first thing to do is to turn on the oven to 200 centigrade because this bread doesn't take very long to mix, and you'll want the oven hot when you're ready to go. The next thing to do is to get a baking sheet and grease it so that your soda bread doesn't stick to it. I'm going to make some longer cake and then mark it out into 4 sections so you can break it easily. So I'm just greasing that down there like that. So it doesn't need a lot of fat on it, just enough to stop the loaf from sticking. So just set that to one side so that you're ready. So we'll take a bowl, and we'll want 225 grams of wholemeal flour. That's half a pound in old money. Okay, half a teaspoonful of salt, half a teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda or baking soda, and 2 tablespoons of porridge oats. That just gives it a nice nutty flavour, the oats. It makes it a little bit different. But if you don't have them, don't worry. You can use a bit of extra flour instead. I'm just going to stir those dry ingredients up, especially to make sure that the bicarbonate of soda is well mixed in before we go any further. There we are. And now we're going to continue weighing. And we're going to put 25 grams of lard in there. That will be about that, spot on. Now, using your knife, you're going to just chop that up into little bits through the flour to make it into quite small pieces. There's not very much to work in, so it's not particularly difficult to do the next stage. This is going to be hands-on in a moment, so your hands need to have been washed, scrubbed and rinsed. Now we're going to what we call rub the fat into the flour. So you pick it up and then pinch your fingers together and let it fall back into the bowl. As there's not very much to work in here, it's not going to take very long. important to lift it up so that it falls back loosely and it doesn't compact at this stage. With most recipes, there's alternative ways of mixing the amount of fat in, and when it's what we call a not very rich mixture like this, rubbing in is usually the quickest way of doing it. When you make much richer cakes like sandwich cakes and so on, then you whip the fat and sugar together and then fold flour into it. But this is for what we call a fairly plain recipe, so there's a small amount of fat just to work through. That's nearly done. Just give it a turn at the bottom to make sure you've lifted up any unmixed flour from the bottom. Give it a quick mix further. There we are. So if you see, when you're done, it looks pretty much like breadcrumbs, and there's no big lumps in there, and you can't really see any of the fat. So now make a hollow in the centre, ready to put the liquid in, as we've done in previous recipes. Now I've measured out 1/4 pint of yoghurt, 150 ml of yoghurt. I'm going to put that straight in. Have a little bit of extra spare just in case if it seems a bit dry, then you can add a little more, or if you don't have any more yoghurt you can add just a drop more milk to make it up. Mix it with a knife, that means you're not going to over mix it. Just keep bringing it round and over and cutting through. This isn't really a recipe that you're aiming to knead at all, so you want to handle it quite lightly, otherwise it will be rather worthy. Tastes good, but it's hard to chew. That's looking, perhaps, let's just have a feel. Yes, that's good. You feel it, it feels slightly damp but not too sticky. And then it starts to gather itself together and pulling all the dry ingredients into the mix. Right, that's good. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the board. I'm going to tuck my badge in so I don't have an incident. Sprinkle a little bit of flour on the board to help the handling. And then tip the mixture out. I'm going to turn it around a couple of times just to make sure it's mixed through. And I picked up all the loose bits, that's good. Then I'm going to shape it into a cake shape. You'll find it's quite a coarse mixture because of the oats. So as I say, you will end up with a rustic item. You don't need a rolling pin for this, you can just press it down with your fingers, form it up into a circle, about a couple of centimetres thick, 1.5 to 2 centimetres thick. There we are. Now I'm going to cut it into mark it into 4, not cut through, just mark it with this fairly sharp knife, like that, and put that on the baking sheet. You'll see why you need the oven warmed up first, because this has to go straight into the oven now, and it needs to cook for about 30 minutes. Now this recipe is out of my mother's old cookery book, which was printed before I was born, and Irish soda bread is a very traditional staple in rural Irish areas, as you'll know if you've been over there. So what better a book to read while you're eating your bread later on than The Copper Beech by Maeve Binchy, and Maeve Binchy is the queen of Irish story writing. This book's available on e-audio books from the librarieswest.org site. the author uses the copper beech tree standing by the village school as a link to the passions, rivalries and friendships which underlie the daily life in a small Irish town. I think you'll find that's a very good read. If that's already on loan, you can reserve it, and while you're waiting for it, you can go over to ebooks, and there are a lot of books by Maeve Binchy, often on Irish themes, on the ebooks library catalogue. So we'll just give that a bit longer to cook now. So we've had half an hour, let's go and have a look and see what's happening. Just being down nicely on the top. Just going to lift it slightly in. Yes, the bottom was nice and browned as well. That's ready. I'm going to put that to cool on the cooling rack now. There we are. Now, unlike ordinary yeasted bread, this bread's ready to go really. I let it cool down a touch because otherwise you'll burn yourself, but we'll give it 5 or 10 minutes just to cool enough, and then we'll see what it tastes like. Well, here we are 10 minutes later, and it's warmed a touch but not too hot. Looking lovely. So now I'm going to bake this up and try some. Conventionally, you bake soda bread rather than cutting it, so you bake it along the marks. That looks lovely inside. I'm just going to take a small piece off there. It's still warm. Best way to eat soda bread is warm. Once it's cool, it's not nearly so exciting. The next day it's best toasted, and the day after that it's better for the birds. That's very good. So yes, make it just before you want it and eat it while it's warm. I hope you've been inspired by this to have a go. If you do, please post your photos and comments on the Somerset Libraries Wells Facebook page so we can all see how you got on. And I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.